Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Krishna Rukmini Jaya Satyabhama Krishna Rukmini Jaya Satyabhama Jaya Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Samsthapakacharya Savior of the whole world Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srimad-Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nithai Gaur Premanandi Hari Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is entitled Narada's Instructions on Srimad-Bhagavatam. Text number 13. Atho maha bhaga bhavan amoghadrik. Atho maha bhaga bhavan amoghadrik. शुचि श्रवाः सत्य रतो धृत व्रतः शुचिश्रवा सत्यरतो धृतव्रतः उरुक्रमस्य अखिल बंध मुक्तये उरुक्रमस्याखिलबन्धमुक्तये उरुक्रमस्याखिलबन्धमुक्तये समाधिना अनुस्मरा तद विचेष्टितं समाधिनानुस्मर तद्विचेष्टितं अथो महाभाग भवानमोघदृक् शुचिश्रवा सत्यरतो धृतव्रतः उरुक्रमस्याखिलबन्धमुक्तये समाधिनानुस्मर तद्विचेष्टितम् अथो महाभागभवानमोघदृक् शुचिश्रवा सत्यरतो धृतव्रतः रुक्रमस्याखिलबन्धमुक्तये समाधिनानुस्मरतद्विचेष्टितम्। अतो महाभागभवानमोघदृक् शुचिश्रवा सत्यरतो धृतव्रतः उरुक्रमस्याखिलबन्धमुक्तये समाधिनानुस्मरतद्विचेष्टितम्। अथो महाभागभवानमोघदृक् शुचिश्रवा सत्यरतो धृतव्रतः उरुक्रमस्याखिलबन्धमुक्तये समाधिनानुस्मरतद्विचेष्टितम्। अथो महाभागभवानमोघदृक् शुचिश्रवा सत्यरतो धृतव्रतः उरुक्रमस्याखिलबन्धमुक्तये समाधिना तद्विचेष्टितम्। Can I request all of you to come forward? You're sitting so back as if there's a big distance. You can move the mats also. Matajis also can come little closer, please. Thank you. Word for meaning. Atho, therefore, Mahabhaga, highly fortunate, Bhavan, yourself, Amoghadrak, the perfect seer, Shuchi, spotless, Shrabaha, famous, Satyarataha, having taken the vow of truthfulness, Dhrutavrataha, fixed in spiritual qualities, Urukramasya, of the one who performs supernatural activities, God. Akhila, universal. Bandha, bondage. Muktaye, for liberation from. Samadhina, by trance. Anusmara, think repeatedly and then describe them. Tadvicheshtitam, various pastimes of the Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. O Vyasadeva, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You are firm in vow and situated in truthfulness, and thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. Please repeat this translation after me. O Vyasadeva, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You are firm in vow and situated in truthfulness. And thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. People in general have a taste for literatures by instinct. They want to hear and read from the authorities something about the unknown. But their taste is exploited by unfortunate literatures which are full of subject matter for satisfaction of the material senses. Such literatures contain different kinds of mundane poems and philosophical speculations, more or less under the influence of Maya, ending in sense gratification. These literatures, although worthless in the true sense of the term, are variously decorated to attract the attention of the less intelligent men. Thus, the attracted living entities are more and more entangled in material bondage without hope of liberation for thousands and thousands of generations. Sri Narada Rishi, being the best amongst the Vaishnavas, is compassionate towards such unfortunate victims of worthless literatures, and thus he advises Sri Vyasadeva to compose transcendental literature which is not only attractive but can also actually bring liberation from all kinds of bondage. Srila Vyasadeva or his representatives are qualified because they are rightly trained to see things in true perspective. Srila Vyasadeva and his representatives are pure in thought due to their spiritual enlightenment. They are fixed in their vows due to their devotional service, and they are determined to deliver the fallen souls rotting in material activities. The fallen souls are very eager to receive novel informations every day, and the transcendentalists like Vyasadeva or Narada can supply such eager people in general with unlimited news from the spiritual world. In the Bhagavad-gita, it is said that the material world is only a part of the whole creation and that this earth is only a fragment of the whole material world. There are thousands and thousands of literary men all over the world, and they have created many, many thousands of literary works for the information of the people in general for thousands and thousands of years. Unfortunately, none of them have brought peace and tranquility on the earth. This is due to a spiritual vacuum in those literatures. Therefore, the Vedic literatures, especially the Bhagavad-gita and Srimad-Bhagavatam are specifically recommended to suffering humanity to bring about the desired effect of liberation from the pangs of material civilization, which is eating the vital part of human energy. The Bhagavad-gita is the spoken message of the Lord Himself, recorded by Vyasadeva. And the Srimad-Bhagavatam is the transcendental narration of the activities of the same Lord Krishna, which alone can satisfy the hankering desires of the living being for eternal peace and liberation from miseries. Srimad-Bhagavatam, therefore, is meant for all the living beings all over the universe for total liberation from all kinds of material bondage. Such transcendental narrations of the pastimes of the Lord can be described only by liberated souls like Vyasadeva and his bona fide representatives who are completely merged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Only to such devotees do the pastimes of the Lord and their transcendental nature become automatically manifest by dint of devotional service. No one else can either know or describe the acts of the Lord, even if they speculate on this subject for many, many years. The descriptions of the Bhagavatam are so precise and accurate that whatever has been predicted in this great literature about 5,000 years ago is now exactly happening. Therefore, the vision of the author comprehends past, present, and future. Such liberated persons as Vyasadeva are perfect not only by the power of vision and wisdom, but also in oral reception, in thinking, feeling, and all other sense activities. A liberated person possesses perfect senses. A liberated person possesses perfect senses, and with perfect senses only can one serve the sense proprietor, Rishikesha, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Srimad-Bhagavatam, therefore, is the perfect description of the all-perfect personality of Godhead by the all-perfect personality, Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Vedas. Thus ends the Bhakti-Vedanta purport. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaha Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanand Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this chapter describes how Narad Muni is instructing Srila Vyasadeva to compile the Srimad-Bhagavatam. The reason is that Vyasadeva, after compiling all varieties of Vedic literature, before compiling the Bhagavatam, he was not satisfied with whatever extensive work he had done. He was feeling some deficiency in his heart. I have not done enough for the people by compiling so many varieties of literature. The amount of literature Vyasadeva compiled is impossible for a human being belonging to this world. It's impossible even for the devatas or the yogis, jnanis, tapasvis of this material world. It is only possible for someone who comes from the spiritual world, especially for this purpose, being empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is true for all spiritual literature. Spiritual literature can be composed, can be compiled, can be written only by those who are specifically empowered by the Supreme Lord for doing so. The good example is, another good example is Chaitanya Charitamrita. The author of Chaitanya Charitamrita is a great empowered personality, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He wrote this Chaitanya Charitamrita on the request of devotees in Vrindavan. He was very old when he started writing this Chaitanya Charitamrita. His eyesight had become very weak. He was not even able to sit properly. And his hands were shaking very badly. So under these circumstances, he was doubtful whether he'll be able to actually write this Chaitanya Charitamrita. Of course, he was qualified, he was empowered. About that, there is no doubt or any kind of apprehension. But his physical condition was so very weak that he thought maybe I'll not be able to write such a big literature describing the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he did complete the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita, and anybody can read that, study that, and understand. It is perfectly composed. Systematically he has described. So, those who are empowered, only they can compose such literatures. Even Srila Prabhupada, he started this Krishna consciousness movement in 1966. Before going to America to start this preaching work in that place, according to the order of his Guru, he wrote 3 volumes of the first canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. And after going to America and after starting this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, while preaching throughout the world, traveling, instructing and guiding young devotees, interested devotees, in every aspect of Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada was also writing the translation and the purports to the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Among all the works of Srila Vyasadeva, the Srimad-Bhagavatam is especially the topmost literature. It is described that there is no literature like the Srimad-Bhagavatam in the entire universe. "18,000 verses, perfectly composed." And Srila Prabhupada himself describes, based on the description of the previous acharyas, that Vyasadeva, while he was writing the Srimad-Bhagavatam, every word he is checking, and before putting that word in the verse, he's checking whether it is the most appropriate word to be put there. Every word. So this is the standard of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Among the learned scholars in the Vedic literature, it is said, Vidya Bhagavata Avadhi. It means one's learning in the Vedic literature is tested by whether such a person has learned the Srimad-Bhagavatam, is able to explain the verses of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Even great scholars in Ramayana, Mahabharata, in the original Vedas, in the Upanishads, in the Dharma Shastras, they hesitate when it comes to speaking, explaining, giving a discourse on the Srimad-Bhagavatam. So one gentleman, after I gave a class in one of the temples, he walked up to me and said that I myself am a speaker of Ramayana, Mahabharata, and so many other Upanishads and all that, but I am unable to speak on the Bhagavatam. So, how did you learn the Srimad-Bhagavatam? He asked me. Then I said, I have not formally learnt Srimad-Bhagavatam the way generally people learn these scriptures. I have just heard Srimad-Bhagavatam from Srila Prabhupada and his followers. And based on whatever little I have understood, and based exactly on whatever Prabhupada has explained in the Srimad-Bhagavatam that he has written in the translation and purports. Strictly based on that, I say something, speak something about Bhagavatam. So, I'm making this point to explain today's verse in which Narad Rishi is especially telling Vyasadeva that Vyasadeva is especially qualified and competent to compile the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Now, before Vyasadeva compiled the Srimad-Bhagavatam, already Srimad-Bhagavatam is available as spoken by previous personalities like Narada himself, Lord Brahma, and so many other personalities, the Kumaras, Maitreya Rishi, and all those personalities, what they have spoken about the Bhagavatam is given in the Srimad-Bhagavatam by Vyasadeva. So, Bhagavatam was already there. It is not a new creation by Vyasadeva. What is the Bhagavatam? It is a description of the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's exactly what Narad Rishi is telling Vyasadeva. You can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. So, let us see what are the different qualifications of Vyasadeva because of which he is particularly qualified to compile the Srimad-Bhagavatam for the benefit of the people in general. Mahabhaga. Mahabhaga means Vyasadeva is being described as highly fortunate. What is the good fortune of Vyasadeva? That he is an empowered incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, he is bestowed with all good fortune by the Supreme Lord himself. So in this way, he is very, very qualified. Mahabhaga, highly fortunate. Amokha Drik, his vision is perfect. He is the perfect seer. How is it he is the perfect seer? Because his knowledge comprehends the past, the present, and the future. He knows what has happened in the past. He knows what is happening presently. And he also knows what is going to happen in the future. Now, how is this possible? That is described in the Bhagavad-gita by Krishna and explained by Prabhupada. In the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad-gita, there is a verse, the 17th verse, in which Krishna describes a liberated soul. Krishna says, Yastu atmaratireva syad atmatriptascha manavaha atmanyeva cha santushtaha tasya karyam na vidyate. What is Krishna telling here? One who is, however, taking pleasure in the self, who is illumined in the self, who rejoices in and is satisfied with the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. Prior to this, Krishna described that in the scriptures there is something called prescribed duties given. And everyone has to perform his prescribed duties according to the prescription given in the scriptures. And in that way, by performing prescribed duties as given in the scriptures, in Krishna consciousness, one can be free from all material bondage. Otherwise, ordinary work binds a person to this material world. And bondage means material existence continues. Life after life after life after life after life, with no hope of any liberation from bondage. So, if somebody is interested in freedom from material bondage, what is material bondage? We are bound up because of this body, having accepted this material body, to suffer 4 fundamental miseries. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Birth, death, old age and disease. Mind you, with the advancement of civilization, so many solutions are being worked out for different problems mankind is facing. But nobody has solved these 4 problems by their material endeavors. And these cannot be solved by any material endeavor, by anybody. The very people who are trying to solve these problems themselves are subject to suffer these fundamental miseries in their own lives. Nobody is exception. In the entire creation, not just this earth planet, in the entire creation, in all the material planets, nobody is free from these miseries, whether he be a devata, yogi, tapasvi, jnani, nobody. So, Krishna is explaining in the Bhagavad-gita how one can become liberated from this bondage. So he says, you perform prescribed duties as given in the scriptures in Krishna consciousness. This is called Karma Yoga. Now Krishna is describing after this, in the 17th verse, there are another category of people for whom there is no prescribed duty. There is no need to perform prescribed duties as given in the Vedas. Who are they? They are described as those who take pleasure in the self, Atmarati, who is illumined in the self, Atma Triptaha, self-illuminated. Atmani eva santushtaha, fully satisfied in the self and rejoices in the self. Now this is a little difficult to understand. What does it actually mean for a common man? So Prabhupada explains in the purport. What does this mean? Prabhupada says, a person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness, no longer has any duty to perform. If you are acting in Krishna consciousness, and what does it mean to act in Krishna consciousness? To perform prescribed duties as given in the scriptures in Krishna consciousness. So, for such a person, there is no duty to perform. No duty to perform. When, by performing duties in Krishna consciousness, one becomes perfectly satisfied within. Fully satisfied within by the very activities of Krishna consciousness. Then what happens to such a person who acts in Krishna consciousness and becomes perfect? That all the impiety within is instantly cleansed, an effect of many, many thousands of yajna performances. One's consciousness becomes purified by acting in Krishna consciousness. Just like all of you are chanting Hare Krishna. So what is happening when you are chanting Hare Krishna? You are purifying your consciousness. Now, as your consciousness is getting purified, you are becoming firmly situated in Krishna consciousness. So your activities will gradually change from ordinary material activities to Krishna conscious activities. That is one of the symptoms of advancement. That you lose interest in ordinary material activities. You no longer seek pleasure outside in sense enjoyment. Instead, you are happy, satisfied, pleased with your activities in Krishna consciousness. Just like this Sunday morning, so many people are busy with so many other activities, but you have chosen to come here and sit and hear Bhagavatam. It's your choice, and you definitely have some taste, some attraction, some preference for doing this. So this is proof that by your practicing Krishna consciousness, your consciousness has become purified, and thereby your activities are undergoing change. Now when the change is complete, that all your activities are only Krishna conscious because your consciousness has become fully purified, then your duty becomes self-illuminated. Meaning, Krishna from within will direct you every moment what you should do or what you should not do. And that is Prabhupada's position. That is the position of Vyasadeva. That is the position of Narada Rishi. That is the position of all liberated souls situated in Krishna consciousness. You see? So that's why Krishna says no duty. They take directly instructions from Krishna from within. They don't have to refer to any Shastras. They don't have to remember any of the instructions given in the Vedas. Dynamically, every moment they are directed by Paramatma, Krishna as Paramatma within their heart. But we should not imitate such persons. before we cleanse our consciousness and become situated fully in Krishna consciousness. So till such time, our consciousness is not fully purified. We take instructions externally from the spiritual master, from the books he has written and explained, the scriptures, and from the previous acharyas and the devotees following sincerely the path of Krishna consciousness. So we have to do that. But Vyasadeva is not like us. He doesn't have to take instructions. He doesn't have to consult a superior authority, because he is a liberated soul. He is perfect in his vision. How is he able to know the past, present and future? It is because he is directly in contact with Krishna within his heart as Paramatma. So Krishna is dictating to him whatever required. If he wants to describe some past incident, Krishna will dictate to him and he will just write. If he wants to describe what Krishna is presently doing, and that's exactly what he did. How did he write the Bhagavad-gita? When Krishna was speaking to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Vyasadeva happened to hear Krishna speaking to Arjuna. Not only Vyasadeva, even Sanjaya was hearing. Sanjaya was hearing. And some few other fortunate souls were also hearing Krishna. Others were thinking Krishna and Arjuna are doing last minute strategizing. So they're all waiting. The battle is about to begin. And the conch shells have been blown. That means ready, both sides. Ready to begin the fight. It's the first day of the battle. They were assembled. Suddenly some discussion between Arjuna and Krishna. So most people could not understand what is going on. Some discussion, 45 minutes it happened. Krishna spoke the Bhagavad-gita to Arjuna, 45 minutes. Crisis. Arjuna says, I won't fight. Krishna says, no, you must fight. Why? Krishna explained to Arjuna. Arjuna got convinced. He said, yes, I'll fight. I'll follow your instructions. And then the fighting began. But what Krishna spoke to Arjuna, 45 minutes. What Krishna showed to Arjuna, the universal form. So many millions of Kshatriyas assembled on the battlefield, they could not see, they could not know, they could not understand. Sanjaya, by the mercy of Vyasa, could see, could hear, could even see the universal form. Vyasadeva, obviously, he is the spiritual master of Sanjaya. If Sanjaya can see by the mercy of Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva can definitely see and hear. So Vyasadeva, he recorded the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. When did he record? When actually Krishna was speaking to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So that means he knows the present about the activities of the Lord. In the Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva is describing at the beginning of creation what happened. Billions of years back. Already half the life of Brahma is over in our universe. Brahma's lifespan is 311 trillion years. So half of 311 trillion, some 160 trillion years are over. And what happened 160 trillion years back? Vyasadeva is describing in the Bhagavatam. He knows the past. He knows the present because he has recorded the Bhagavad-gita as Krishna was speaking to Arjuna. And he knows the future. What is the proof? Prabhupada says, the descriptions of the Bhagavatam are so precise and accurate that whatever has been predicted in this great literature about 5,000 years ago is now exactly happening. Kali Yuga symptoms are described. So all the symptoms we can see from the Bhagavatam 12th canto, and 5,000 years back it was spoken. Lord is going to appear in an incarnation called Buddha in future. It is described in the Bhagavatam. And exactly as described, Lord Buddha appeared. Kalki is going to come at the end of this Kali Yuga. And that's already foretold. Exactly. So, this way, Vyasadeva knows the past, present and future. How? Because he is directly in contact with Krishna, the Supreme Lord, who is seated in everyone's heart, including Vyasadeva's heart, as the Paramatma. Shuchishrava means his fame is spotless. His fame is spotless. What does it mean? All his activities he has performed after his appearance, all are pure. There is no trace of any defect. So that's how he has acquired spotless fame. Chuchishrava. Satyarataha, he has taken the vow of truthfulness. Now this is not mundane truthfulness, ordinary truthfulness, no. It is the vow to stick to the absolute truth and not get diverted by relative truths. Whatever truth we understand in the material world, in our material dealings, is relative truth. And truth about spiritual reality is the absolute truth. Absolute truth does not change with time or with circumstances. But relative truth is subject to change. So, Vyasadeva is fixed in the absolute truth. Means fixed in Krishna consciousness. Fixed in Krishna consciousness. Dhritavrataha, he is fixed in spiritual qualities. These spiritual qualities are qualities, original qualities of every spirit soul. But right now, in our present condition, in our material conditioned state, those qualities have become covered with so many material contamination. And therefore, we exhibit different material qualities. Now, these material qualities, whether good or bad, they are simply relatively good or bad. Absolutely speaking, they are all totally useless. These material qualities are totally useless. The real qualities of each of the persons of this world, every spirit soul, is spiritual qualities. One of the spiritual qualities is we are deathless. We are eternal beings. That's a spiritual quality. We are full of pleasure, spiritual pleasure, simply by our constitution. Satchidananda, that's our nature. So these are spiritual qualities. Now Vyasadeva is not having any material contamination. He is not a conditioned soul. He is a liberated soul. So he is fixed in spiritual qualities. Urukramasya akhila bandha muktaye samadhina anusmara. Also, because he is fixed in Krishna consciousness, he is able to visualize Krishna's activities for describing them in the Bhagavatam. When he desires to do so by going into trance, samadhi. Samadhi means total absorption in a very specific object of meditation. If Vyasadeva sits in meditation on Krishna, specifically on Krishna's incarnation, and then meditates on Krishna's activities he performed 5,000 years ago. Of course, Vyasadeva compiled this after Krishna's appearance, though he was present when Krishna appeared, but he compiled this after Krishna's appearance. So he sat in meditation and he could visualize Krishna's activities and describe them. The 10th canto is described. Krishna's appearance, Krishna's being transferred from Mathura to Nanda Gokula. Everything is described perfectly. Exactly what happened. How is he writing? How is he describing? So that is said here. He is able to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But specifically, not only the form, but even the activities. The form, somebody can refer to the scriptures and understand and conceive a description of the form of the Lord and meditate on that form. But Vyasadeva is not doing that. He is fixing his meditation on the Supreme Lord, who is eternally activities are going on in the spiritual world. Eternally his activities are going on in the spiritual world. And by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, he is able to visualize specific activities he performed when he incarnated in this universe, in this particular period of time, etc. It is just like if you have a video recording of last 10 years of something that happened in this temple hall. So then, if you have got the appropriate technology and the device, what happened 10 years back? Today is what? Today is February 18th, 2024. What happened in this temple 2014, February 18th? Press. Go to that section of the video recording and just see everything. So Prabhupada says, for a pure devotee, when he goes into meditation, inside the heart there is a spiritual television. He can tune in to any specific period of time, any specific incarnation, any specific activities of the Lord in that incarnation, and he can watch that and he can describe. Right. So this is called Samadhina Anusmara Tad Vicheshtitam. And why should Vyasadeva do this? All this that he is describing. For liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. Akhila Bandha Muktaye. The people in general, they are entangled very badly and there is no hope for them to come out of this bondage. They are suffering and they continue to suffer. So Narad Muni, Vyasadeva, Prabhupada, all such great souls, acharyas, they take compassion. And they describe Krishna's activities, Krishna's incarnations, Krishna's qualities, etc. Simply by hearing, reading, or remembering, or coming in contact with this, anybody can become completely liberated from all material bondage. That's the power of this literature. Prabhupada says, distribute my books. Why? Because if somebody even reads one word, his liberation is guaranteed. His complete liberation, total liberation from all material bondage is guaranteed. That means that one word the person has read is the beginning of his journey back to home, back to Godhead. Then it's just a question of time. So therefore, the creation of such personalities, empowered personalities, Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, all our previous acharyas, Narad Rishi, Vyasadeva, is extraordinary literature. Cannot be compared with any other literature of this world. Cannot be compared. So that literature, kind of literature, Narad Muni is telling Vyasadeva, please compile for everyone's benefit. I'll stop here. Rantarat Srimad-Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.